welcome back to Omoshiroi Recap. Today, I will recap Seirei Gensouki Spirit Chronicles. The story begins with a 20-year-old college student named Haruto. Haruto promised to marry his childhood friend Ayase Miharu in the past, but when he met again, she was with another man. When Haruto got on the bus, he suddenly had an accident and woke up in another world as an orphan boy named Ryo.
Amakawa Harutoか。俺はバスに乗っていて、バスって。
Haruto reincarnated into Ryo's body, so their memories and personalities become one. Ryo, who is in the slums, intends to take revenge on someone who killed his mother. Also, Ryo promised to return to the place where his mother was born, Yagumo. Then some well-dressed people asked Ryo, and a beautiful girl named Celia asked if he saw a girl the same age as him. Ryo didn't see any other kids the same age as him. He could give little information about the area. Then Celia used search magic. Unexpectedly, Ryo has strong magic energy and has the potential to become a magician.
Celia. Search! 魔力。この変な光が魔力なのか。
Ryo earned a lot of money from Celia thanks to the information provided. After that, Ryo returned to his place. Suddenly someone attacked him, but the silver money saved his life. Ryo can also fight back because his strength has risen. Ryo excels in battle with his martial arts skills and a power known as spirit techniques. In the end, Ryo defeats the villain. After that, Ryo found a girl who had been kidnapped. She was named Flora, a princess of the kingdom. Flora also asked Ryo to accompany her to the palace. Ryo also brought an unconscious Flora to the palace, but Ryo was suspected of being the perpetrator of the kidnapping. Meanwhile, the royal troops caught the criminal, but someone killed him to dispel the information about the mastermind of the incident. Ryo was interrogated by the Knight Vice Captain Charles. He forced Ryo to be the mastermind of the kidnapping. Because Ryo rejected him, Charles tortured him mercilessly. Then Flora woke up in bed, wanting to thank Ryo for saving her. But Ryo was treated badly by Charles. Seeing that, Celia immediately healed him, and Ryo was asked to meet the king. Ryo decides to learn manners from Celia so that he is fit to meet the king. The king thanks Ryo for saving his daughter. As a gift, Ryo gets a scholarship to study at the Royal Academy. The students who attend school there are the children of nobles. That's why Ryo is looked down upon as a commoner by all the students. Of course, Ryo felt uncomfortable, but he tried hard to survive all these insults. Ryo has never learned to read, so Celia intends to teach it every time after school. Even though he couldn't read, Ryo naturally answered math questions because Ryo had Haruto's memories as a college student. Besides being good at the academy, Ryo also has unique sword skills. Even though his style of swordsmanship was unknown in that world, he managed to impress a teacher there with his swordsmanship. When the exam results were announced, Ryo was ranked first with Christina, the first princess in the kingdom. Meanwhile, other noble children accused Ryo of cheating, making Ryo even more hated by all the students. Celia is very proud of his achievements but worries that more students will misbehave with him.
俺にはセリア先生がいますから。
リオがいじめられて泣きそうになった時は、私の胸を貸してあげる。
5 years later, Ryo was selected to participate in the Royal Knights tournament. When the tournament started, Ryo faced the Knight Charles who had tortured him. Charles held a grudge against him. He attacked Ryo seriously while letting out his anger. While Ryo fought it calmly, he managed to beat him and Charles felt humiliated. The Knight Commander Alfred was amazed to see Ryo's ability. The next day, Celia wanted to meet Ryo immediately to celebrate his victory, but she was disappointed because another girl was approaching Ryo. A few days later, the students learned techniques to control magic power. The noble students laughed at Ryo because he couldn't use contract magic like the others. Even though he couldn't use contract magic, he had a stronger power that differed from others. Then they practice exploring the forest, and a noble student named Alphonse becomes the group leader. He obtained information to shorten travel time, but when traced, they were stuck at a dead end and faced with a monster summoned by someone. The monster's attack had hit a student named Stuart, and he had pushed Princess Flora, causing her to fall off the cliff. Rio immediately saved her using the power of the wind, while Rio himself let himself fall, but he was able to land unharmed with the strength he had. After the students defeated the monster, Stuart passed the blame onto Rio. Stupid noble students even believed that and intended to leave Rio in the forest. When they wanted to leave there, suddenly a strong monster met them. Because their attacks didn't work on the monster, they immediately fled. But Flora was left behind and attacked by the monster. Rio returned to save her. This time, he fought seriously without hiding his true power. After successfully defeating the monster, Rio immediately left the place. Because the noble Stuart family feared the truth would be revealed, they sent someone to kill Rio. Rio decided to leave the kingdom and said goodbye to Celia. Rio also explained his situation and that he was going to his hometown Iagumo. Rio would always send letters to Celia using a pseudonym named Haruto. Celia became sad because she had fallen in love with Rio, but they had to separate. A few days later, Rio visited a trading town always bustling with various food. Pasta food attracted Rio's attention. When he ate it, he felt that the food was familiar to him. Because of that, he assumed that the inventor of the food recipe was from the same world as Haruto. That person named Lyslot is the reincarnation of a girl who was involved in a previous accident. Rio decided to buy some food in the merchant guild. Rio is greeted by Lyslot, who will help him in finding groceries. Not only that, but Rio also sent a letter about his trip to Celia. Then Rio met a beast girl who attacked him with a poison knife and needles. Rio immediately neutralized the poison and deployed a counterattack. It turned out that the beast girl named Latifa was the reincarnation of a little girl named Endo Suzune. In that world, he became enslaved by a noble child named Stuart. Latifa had been ordered to kill Rio. Rio tried to remove the slave collar so that Latifa could be free. However, because she didn't have a goal, Latifa decided to go with Rio, who would accompany her to the land of human beasts. While they were camping, Latifa called pasta with spaghetti. She was also delirious, wanting to meet her parents in Tokyo. Rio could deduce that Latifa was reincarnated from Earth to another world with Haruto. The next day they continued their journey and arrived at a spirit forest with a giant tree. But Latifa couldn't see the giant tree, and only Rio could see it. Rio decided to enter the forest and camp there. The spirit forest residents suddenly surrounded Rio. They blinded Rio's vision so he wouldn't fight back. Rio tried to explain that he had no malicious intent, but they didn't believe him and assumed that Rio had kidnapped Latifa. Even though Rio could dodge their attacks using spirit techniques, he was directly hit by the magic attack, causing him to faint. Rio dreams of meeting a mysterious girl. It seems she knows everything about Rio with Haruto. At the same time, Rio did not know about the girl. After that, Rio woke up and met with Latifa. Latifa had explained everything so there would be no more misunderstandings between them. Rio was released from custody and asked to meet the elder who leads the Spirit Forest residents. They thanked Rio for freeing Latifa from slavery. As thanks, Rio can live there and learn spirit techniques simultaneously. Then a world tree spirit named Dryas appears. She also checked the spirit in Rio's body. It turns out that Rio had a human-shaped spirit sleeping inside his body. That spirit is extremely rare and belongs to a high-level spirit. Hence, the elders treated Rio as a saint. While living in the Spirit Forest, Rio lives in a comfortable house with beautiful girls. Rio was able to learn various knowledge that only the inhabitants of the Spirit Forest had. On the other hand, a previous villain named Rias had taken a wyvern's egg in its nest. He even intended to use his friend as bait for the wyverns to chase after him and attack the Spirit Forest. After 1 year of Rio living there, they welcomed Rio as their true friend, and he also got a holy kiss from Dryas. Then they also held a spirit festival. Rio doesn't understand why Ovia and Sarah always hug him. It turns out that they want to deepen their friendship with Rio. Rio would be happy if he could get along better with them, but he thought about leaving the Spirit Forest immediately and continuing towards Yagumo village. After that, a wyvern suddenly appeared who wanted to reclaim the eggs from the thieves. But the wyvern headed for the world tree instead, causing a commotion and the residents trying to save themselves. Since all the wyverns had left to chase the egg thieves, the unguarded nest allowed Rias to take all the eggs. After that, he immediately killed his friend because his job as bait had been completed. At the same time, the egg that the man was carrying fell near Latifa, so the wyverns intended to kill Latifa because the egg had broken. Hearing Latifa's scream, a girl named Alma immediately protected her. Even though her fighting ability is strong, more is needed to defeat the monster. Latifa wanted to help him by serving as bait to attract monsters. When the monster attacked Latifa, Rio took her to a safe place. Even though the wyvern's body was tough, Rio realized its weakness. Rio launched a fire attack into the wyvern's mouth, hitting it with great force. Rio managed to defeat the wyverns and prevent the destruction of the Spirit Forest. But he had to leave immediately to continue his journey to Yagumo. Before leaving, Rio said goodbye to Latifa first. Latifa also said she was a person from Japan who was reborn into that world. Rio also believed her because he was the same as her. Then Rio was given a sword and a cloak made of wyvern skin. Not only that, Rio was also given space-time storage so he could store luggage there. With the same black robe and voice actor, Rio is the same as Kirito from Sword Art Online. After 2 months of arriving in Yagumo's area, there was still no clue about his father and mother. Then Rio meets Ruri with Seo. Ruri took him to where her grandmother, the head of the village. After Rio also told the village head about his parents, he didn't expect that the village head was his father's mother. So she is Rio's grandmother, and Ruri is his cousin. Rio was offered to stay there longer. He accepted it and will live in the house with his grandmother with Ruri. While there, Rio becomes the center of attention of the girls because he is a reliable man. Meanwhile, Seo's older brother, Shin, doesn't like and feels jealous of Rio's popularity. After hunting, he made a bathhouse using spirit techniques. Ruri and Seo felt that Rio smelled good and wanted to hug Rio. However, it sparked jealousy in other boys.
シン、リオは軟弱じゃないよ。こう見えてかなり筋肉質なんだから。
ハレンチだ。
ビー。
A few days later, Shin gets into a fight with Gon, the son of the head of a neighboring village. At that time, Shin tried to protect Seo. The head of the village stopped their fight. Then when Gon saw Rio, he got annoyed and kicked his leg.
兄貴、おや、大丈夫ですか?
Rio gave a magic stone to Ruri and Seo so he could protect them from harm. The next day, Hayate came from the capital and checked the village's taxes. In the afternoon, Rio was training alone, and his muscular body caught Ruri's attention along with Seo's. They asked why Rio always practiced every day. Rio explained that there was someone he wanted to protect, but he was no longer in contact with her and did not know of that person's whereabouts. Gon and his friends sneak into Ruri's room with Seo at night. Gon intends to rape them both, but Rio, who knew their evil intentions, immediately beat them all. Rio remembered someone who had killed his mother before, so he became very angry and almost killed Gon.
何をしている? リオ殿、もうよせ。 それ以上殴ると死んでしまう。
If they weren't separated, Gon might have died at his hands. To overcome this, Hayate reported Gon so that he would receive severe punishment for having committed a major crime. The next day, the villagers will sell their crops to the capital. Hayate also imprisoned Gon, and the village head asked Hayate to deliver an important letter to his father. Ryo was invited to walk with Seo when he arrived in the capital city. In the middle of the road, there was a vendor offering accessories. Ryo also bought accessories for Seo, which made her very happy until she fell in love with him. Suddenly there was a kidnapping. Ryo, who saw the incident, immediately saved the victim and paralyzed the kidnapper. Because he didn't want to get involved in problems, he immediately left there. On the other hand, Hayate conveyed a letter from the head of the village to his father. Hayate's father was immediately surprised and wanted to meet Ryo immediately. He and his wife met Ryo to discuss something.
あなた様のお母上はこのカラスキ王国の王族であらせられたのです。
母さんが。
It turns out that Ryo's mother is a princess of the Karasuki kingdom named Ayami Karasuki, and those two were people who served his mother. Meanwhile, Ryo's father, Zen, was the strongest warrior who was promoted to a royal samurai and a bodyguard for the royal family. Ayami likes Zen, but the prince of another kingdom wants to marry Ayami and causes trouble in the kingdom. Because of that, Zen and Ayami had to run away together, leave the kingdom, and get married somewhere. After that, Ryo was asked to meet the king and queen in the palace because they were his grandparents. Ryo told them everything about his father's death, and an adventurer who was a friend of his father named Lucius had killed his mother.
母は殺されました。俺の目の前で。殺した人物はルシウスという男です。
Since then, Ryo has lived with the aim of revenge. The king understands this, but if he wants revenge, Ryo must become stronger. Therefore, he ordered Ryo to fight with the strongest samurai in the kingdom or Hayate's father.
一の太刀断空
The result was that Ryo's ability was stronger than his, so the king didn't need to worry about it anymore. 2 years have passed since Ryo came to the village, and Ryo decided to return to Latifa's place. Knowing that Ryo would leave the village made Seo feel sad. Before Ryo left, Seo expressed her feelings and wanted to go with Ryo.
私リオ様のことが好きです。
申し訳ありません。俺はあなたの気持ちに応えられません。
But Ryo couldn't reciprocate those feelings. He couldn't take her because the journey was dangerous. The next day, Seo bids farewell to Ryo, and she feels good to know him.
お体に気をつけてくださいね。
さようなら。
はい、またいつか。
After that, Ryo visited the spirit forest, and Latifa and the other girls welcomed Ryo's arrival. Ryo immediately met his elders and told them about his hometown. Ryo intended to continue traveling soon, but before that, he borrowed knowledge from them to create a residence that could be moved into space-time storage, to make that thing be left to Domini, while Ryo could have fun with the pretty girls there.
これは夢か。裸の女の子と寝てるんだ。
どうしたんですか、リオさん。
The next day, suddenly, a beautiful girl was sleeping beside him. The girl's appearance sparked a misunderstanding, and because of that, Ryo asked the girl to explain why she could be there. It turns out that she is a spirit in human form who has entered into a contract with Ryo. She also knows all about Ryo and Haruto. The girl did not know when she entered the contract because she had no memories of her past. She asked Ryo to name her. Ryo gave her the name Asia because it looked similar to someone he knew at a glance. After that, Ryo took Asia to meet the elders. At the same time, Dryas also met them. Dryas was surprised because Asia had no memory. Dryas wanted to know what kind of spirit Asia was. She replied that she mastered all the elements. To find out her power, Ryo and Asia fought each other to measure Asia's abilities. Asia mastered all the elements along with Ryo's spirit techniques.
俺の技をトレースしているのか。
Since Asia had no memory, Dryas would teach her the knowledge of spirits. A few days later, the house that Ryo needed was finished in this way so he could continue his journey. Before leaving, the elders gave valuable teleportation tools to return to the village quickly. In addition, there are also unique earrings that can change hair color. Rio with Asia went together to Beltrum Kingdom to meet Celia. When Rio arrived at Beltrum Kingdom and wanted to meet Celia at the academy, it turns out that Celia is no longer there. It was said that she would soon marry the noble Charles.
相手は
アルボー公爵家のシャルル様です。
シャルル・アルボーとセリア先生が結婚。
The marriage happened because the Beltrum Kingdom had suffered a defeat by the Proxia Empire, thus making the kingdom unstable. But Charles's noble family managed to make peace, which made the royal family no longer trusted. On that occasion, Charles intended to take over the kingdom and use his marriage to Celia to increase his power. Even the nobles, Claire, had no choice because Charles had threatened them. In the end, Celia and her father couldn't do anything anymore, knowing that Rio and Asia sneaked into the royal palace. For the last time, Celia wanted to meet Rio. She had feelings for Rio and was against the marriage. At the same time, Rio sneaked into her room. He came back to meet her according to his promise from 4 years ago. Rio's arrival made Celia very happy.
会いたかったです。
私だってずっと。
When Rio asks about her marriage, Celia's character changes, and she tells Rio that she has agreed to the marriage. Celia immediately asked Rio to leave from there because she didn't want to involve him in the matter. Realizing that Celia had lied, Rio tried to find the reason for the marriage. The next day, before the wedding ceremony begins, Celia is reunited with Charles's wife. Celia was about to become his 7th wife. Charles's wives mistreated Celia and threatened her to obey them.
リオどうして来たの？来ないでって言ったのに。
By the time the wedding ceremony started, Asia had already gathered everything Rio had needed. With that, Rio can prepare a plan to disrupt the wedding.
私は人形。
止まれ！
Rio instantly created chaos by breaking through the guards. The Empire's elite troops were powerless against Rio, so Rio made it to Celia and defeated the bastard Charles. Rio used telepathy to talk to Celia. Rio asked about Celia's true wish. If Celia wanted, Rio could destroy the wedding. Celia realized that the marriage would not make her happy, so she asked Rio to kidnap her.
私をさらって。
決めたぞ。橋を架け。あんたの結婚相手を公衆の面前でさらう。
Charles ordered all troops to capture Rio, but no matter how many troops were deployed, they couldn't catch up to him. After that, Rio handed Celia over to Asia while Rio would be the bait so they could escape. Rio easily defeated all the troops chasing him. Then came the Knight Commander Alfred. Rio had difficulty fighting Alfred because he had a strong sword technique. Even Alfred can deploy terrible attacks that can make his opponent die instantly, but Rio managed to avoid it and took the opportunity to escape. After that, Rio returned to meet Celia with Asia. Suddenly there was a phenomenon of people from Earth moving to that world. The bandits caught them. Feeling the presence of the girl he liked before, Rio immediately headed towards that place. Arriving there, Rio killed all the bandits and managed to free them. So Rio met again with Ayase Miharu. And that is the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and like this video, so see you in the next video.